Home. It's where you build your legacy, where traditions are started, seeds are planted, meals are shared, and stories are told. We are Chris and Natalie Carpenter, owners of Story Real Estate, and our team of top agents helps people find homes in Moscow, Idaho, and around the country.
Have you thought about a move? Contact us to get connected with a top agent who shares your values and puts your family first. Or reach out to us about our Moscow relocation guide.
Wherever you're looking to go, we can help you find home. Call us at Story Real Estate or visit us at storyrealestate.com and start building your legacy.
Everybody love me. You ain't messing with my
I'm tired of that.
You know what?
And it takes a lot to get him tired.
I was waiting for that response. It's taken me 5 years
to finally get that response.
Hey,
y'all, welcome to Cross Politics on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Pastor Toby Chuck Knox, I'm the Waterboy, and of course, Pastor Doug Wilson is in the studio with us. And I wanted to, our magazine just came out, the Unwoke Church, and I figured I'd take you to my pork shoulder roast today, okay?
I thought
we were going to tell us about Pastor Doug's article. But
he didn't write in this edition, this magazine. Also would have, also because it would have been way more important. But the quote that you need to remember, the reason why barbecue is so important in your life, I said, in fact, barbecue is on the food pyramid for me and my family, right next to the maple syrup and Dr. Pepper. So there you go. That's why you got to get this magazine.
Yeah.
And
Are
everything.
you serious right now?
Yeah, that
He
was
just quoted himself.
Yeah,
from our magazine.
And people need to integrate barbecue in their life, like the food pyramid.
Pastor, I see why you sent him off to Toby. I see.
He's like, you need to go to King's Cross.
Quick, before Gabe says anything else, let's talk for a moment about the Fight Laugh Feast Club membership. By joining the Fight Laugh Feast Army, not only will you be aiding in our fight to take down secular and legacy media, but you'll also get access to the content placed in our club portal, such as past shows, all our conference talks, and exclusive content for club members that you won't be able to find anywhere else. Lastly, you always get discounts for our conferences, like the next one next year at the
Arc Encounter.
Yes,
sir.
The politics of 6-day creation. So go to fightlaughfeast.com and sign up today.
Did you tell Pastor he's going to be there? I mean, did you ask him if he would come?
Can you come to the Arc?
Good. All right, just making sure we get that on the menu.
How would I know something like that?
He just laughed, though, notice. He just laughed. Hey, we're really grateful to have with us Pastor Doug Wilson. He's pastor of Christ Church for several decades now.
Four.
Father of 3, grandfather of
17. 18. Number 18 is on the way.
Number
praise
18, doing that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That 3 times 6.
That's that post-mill.
And you got some greats coming.
Well, maybe. Probably.
Yeah.
Well,
There's no announcement here.
Okay.
Greats.
I've got a married grandchild and another engaged
And he's got another engaged one coming,
right.
so some greats coming. Yeah.
Well, it's all right. Well, we're really grateful to have you back on the show. And it's election day.
It is.
And no quarter November, or did you call it nick or neck?
It's no quarter November, NQ, no quarter November quinquennial.
Quinquennial. And
that's the 5th year.
And for short?
That's NQ or nyuk.
So I gotta bring this up, Pastor, because today is election day, and Gabe usually sends out his picks for.
We're gonna start here.
No, we're starting here. This is problematic because people got to vote.
Discipline.
All right.
Yeah, so I just want to know. Gabe said he sends out his picks of who we need to vote for, to the community, whatever. And he actually suggested that we should vote for some Democrats,
right?
In this,
some local Democrats,
right? Yeah. And I just want to know. So can we flog him publicly?
I will confess that I was disobedient.
Okay, got it.
Wait, which way?
I didn't vote for any Democrats.
Yeah. I'm just
neither did I.
So, but now I feel like I need to explain myself.
Can we discipline Gabe for this?
I just want to hear you say what you said to me earlier. I said
I can't. So there's 2 races locally that I recommended voting for Democrats. One was our county clerk, and the other one was a legislator race down for Boise. And the reason why I recommended voting for the Democrats was because for our legislator race, once you get like a rhino in, like we had Carol and Nelson Troy in, you get them for 16 years. I mean, they're hard to get out. But if you get a Democrat in locally, it's easier to circle back around in 2 years. And that Democrat doesn't hurt us down in Boise because we're solid Republican down in Boise. And so it's a lot easier to circle back around. It's a lot easier to circle back around in 2 years to get a better Republican candidate and get that person out, as opposed to once you get an established Republican and you can't
Blah,
get out
blah,
until
blah,
they're done.
blah, blah, blah.
One follows the reasoning, of course.
I just.
Is that like a flawed,
No, it's just a tactical decision.
Yeah.
I didn't think you were nuts. I was not planning. I mean, I didn't obey. I didn't obey either.
Yeah, that's okay.
I didn't.
Okay.
There was a number of the.
If you have no strategy, you get what you get.
This might have been one of the ballots I left more blank than usual, though. I will say that, because there were several of them where I thought.
Yeah, I left a lot of blanks.
Where I think I learned this from you years ago, Doug. But I figured that if the Lord wanted me to vote, He would have given me options on several of them, and so.
Lord wanted us to vote, He would have given us candidates.
Yeah, yes. Like, what I see here, although Gabe, you'll be pleased to know this. Maybe I can make up a little bit of your disappointment.
Okay,
me, but I voted for you. I wrote you in for public school superintendent because I think you would make a very good superintendent of public schools. I think you would be amazing at it.
I'm not really that honored. Was there a compliment in there?
No, I think you would be amazing at it.
Thank you.
I should have written you in for coroner.
No, I wrote. Who did I write in for coroner? I used to wrote Deacon James. He was my write in for coroner every year. And I found I can't remember who I wrote in this year, but yeah, that's a good one. Body's dead. Yep. No, it's dead.
It's important.
Yeah.
So we kind of jumped to election stuff, but I'm going to go back now.
Okay.
I'm going to go back.
I just wanted to make sure.
No Quarter November.
Yeah.
Are we playing the video?
Yeah, let's play the video.
Are we going to play it? Just in case.
You got to see it.
You were, I don't know, at the coroner's office and you missed this. This is the No Quarter November video for 2022.
At the coroner's office waiting for my body.
Lit a fire with the enter button.
Ouch.
Powerful button.
I'm Douglas Wilson. Welcome to No Quarter November. This is NQNQ. That stands for No Quarter November Quinquennial. That's because this is our 5th year of doing this.
What kind of article was that?
So, what's No Quarter November all about? Well, for 11 months out of the year, on my blog and in other places, I am the voice of sweet reason. I always qualify. And one of the things I've discovered is that those qualifications and nuances are diligently ignored. I've determined that being nuanced and balanced like that doesn't do me any good at all. Nobody notices. Nobody pays attention. So we decided 5 years ago that we were going to start leaving the balance and the nuance and the subtlety out of it. We're not going to qualify anything. So for the month of November, I'm just going to tell you what I think. Now, I'm 69 years old, and that means next year in November, I'll be 70, and I'll be able to tell you what I really think. Okay. A number of our critics wonder what we have, what's the thing we have about fire? Why do we burn things? Well, I would want to observe, somewhat mildly, that we're not the ones burning the world down. The world's burning down, and we're simply observing that that's what's happening. Over the course of November, one of the things we do is we're going to be giving away a boatload of free books. There's going to be a lot of new content dropping on Canon Plus. The discount code for the month of November is NQNQ. Could be pronounced Nink Nink or yeah.
Oh my God.
Man. The composure and all that heat.
Man, y'all better be careful with my pastor, man. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That was a little too close for comfort.
I had producers in New York text me and asking me how much CGI was used in this. They said that was really good. We're debating on how much was real fire and how much was CGI.
Oh my goodness.
Good.
So you came out the block swinging as promised.
Yeah, okay.
You're three posts in?
Yeah.
For November, we're still early on here. There was dead flies on a windowsill, and then evangelical spandex at the gym.
Oof.
Right.
And tenured historians of the Golden Calf.
Yes.
And so how's it going so far?
It's going well, I think. People have kind of gotten used to it, and they kind of look forward to it.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah.
Like
it's like season. It's
Easter,
like,
season.
It's like
hunting season.
Pre-Thanksgiving season. It's like pre-Advent, pre-Thanksgiving,
right.
no quarter November.
Sort of like a political Lent.
That's a little scary though, right? Because whenever I don't think, just from watching you over the years, I don't think you let people get too comfortable with you, right? When they get comfortable, you like, and sixth gear.
Next year you're 70.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons I wanted to do the spandex one is it's real easy to get to preaching against the secular humanists and the bad guys and the people in Hollywood and the people in New York and the people. But I think we ought to be tending to some of the issues that are as much alive in our ranks. And so just not to keep people off balance for the sake of keeping them off balance. But what you want to do is always want to remember is the gospel is not partisan.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's right.
Everybody needs a savior. Everybody needs God's law. Everybody needs God's word. And not just the liberals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. Right.
It feels like I was telling the guys earlier, no quarter November comes. Actually, I get pretty excited about it, but I always get excited about it because it feels like you take evangelical.
We saw your threats.
Oh, yes.
On Twitter.
Yeah, I didn't.
You were going to burn Cannon down. Where's the video? Where's the video?
I wasn't going to burn. I just had a one-man
I went over and checked with Doug. I was like, do you want me to talk to him or do you want to talk to him?
I had a one-man riot outside. I'm just saying, hey. But, it feels like you lay evangelicalism out on this operating table and you're like, this is the part has the cancer. Let's cut this out. All right, get that out of there. Where do you see kind of evangelicalism right now affected, and what are some of the articles you plan on writing to deal with that infection?
So the one I'm planning, tentatively sketched out for tomorrow, which will be the day after the election, which I can't write until I see
everything shake out.
How it's
you might have to wait a week for that, though. Actually, from what I hear.
No, I'm only going to wait a certain amount. Basically, everywhere, my entire adult life, you always knew who won the night of the election.
Right.
Virtually always. And the fact that they're saying, "Oh, this could take days. This could take that's a glaring invitation for an investigation right now. Right. There is no excuse, especially with computerization and all the things. There's absolutely no excuse for not having the results the day of the election.
Right.
We're a first world country. Come on.
Right. We have everything else right away.
So basically, I'm of a mind that we will either know tonight what the deal was, or we will know tonight what the deal was.
Right.
So then your article for tomorrow.
Well, the article for tomorrow, I'm anticipating a very good night for conservatives. That's what I'm anticipating. But you don't want to assume, you don't want to.
We've seen this before, right?
We've seen this before.
Yeah.
I felt good about things that didn't happen before. You don't count your chickens before they hatch. But I think it's going to be a good night for conservatives. But there could be some curveballs. There could be some wrinkles in there. There could be some additional things to talk about. So I want to wait till the evening is, till we see the trajectory of the evening before I'm talking about why don't we have the results, or what to make of the red tsunami, or what to make of the red ripple.
Right. Doug, the political pessimist in me, let's say there's a big red wave. I just don't have confidence that the conservatives are really going to do anything correctly or try to fix what's going on, try to deal with, woke politics all the way to, everything that's gone on, even election. And we might need to delete that or bleep it for YouTube. Seriously. I think I said that one time in my water break show a couple weeks ago, and that show got kicked off YouTube. But because I think back to George Bush, he had the House and the Senate, and we got No Child Left Behind. Like that was the big championing legislation.
Yeah.
Do you see things differently? That you think conservatives actually might do something?
When Democrats get elected, they always do
what they said they're going to do.
Obamacare
and everything.
Take all the all the Supreme Court justices appointed by a Democratic president. There are no surprises there.
Right.
None of them are surprise conservatives.
Right. Yeah. There's
They're surprised women.
Yeah.
The Ketanji Brown, is she a woman or not?
Yeah.
With Republicans, even with the squish Republicans, even with the squish ones, you've got a batting average of 500.
Yeah.
Right. So, so some of the stellar justices on there, Alito, Thomas, people like that, were appointed during what we would call squish eras, and
Bush.
And so we got Roe v. Wade struck down in part thanks to Mitch McConnell.
Right.
Oh,
Okay,
That's hard to say.
well,
I'm gonna have to drink something to make that one go down.
well, he's the one who refused to put Merrick Garland on the Supreme Court.
That's right.
He's the one.
It's facts.
So Mitch McConnell has saved more babies than a lot of ardent pro-life abolitionists.
Oh. You don't want this show to go out to anybody, do you?
Neil, we're also going to have to bleep that for.
It's no quarter November.
The issue is not whose position is more correct, because
Sure.
all right, McConnell has all kinds of reasons for doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I bet that some of them aren't pure.
Maybe. It might be.
Cocaine Mitch? Really?
But here's the thing. He did it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's what he did. And we got 3 Supreme Court justices, and they teamed up with Supreme Court justices who were appointed during the earlier compromised Republican era.
Right.
So I wish that every Supreme Court justice that was appointed by a Republican was true blue all the time, and not like John Roberts.
Would make Clarence Thomas look kind of mild.
Yeah.
Right. I wish it was that way, but it's not that way.
That's right.
But you're not choosing. You're not choosing between the perfect and the almost perfect.
Right.
You're choosing between diabolical and a mixed bag of really good and really bad.
Right.
So I'm very happy with the general trajectory of how things are going, and I think that God uses flawed instruments, and those flawed instruments include George W. They include Mitch McConnell. They include Donald J. Trump.
Right.
Okay.
So as part of
Does it include Joe Biden?
Yeah. God uses flawed instruments in different ways, right? If Joe Biden appointed, a pro-life justice, I'd say, well, thank the Lord for that. But what God's doing with Biden is he is the regime is delegitimized, right? We're dealing with the ramifications of a regime whose stories and narratives are not holding up anymore.
And then it's obvious to everyone. It's
every-
very clearly obvious.
It's being exposed.
So this is election day. Early indications are there's going to have voting machine problems in Maricopa
Yep.
and
In
voting machine
Pennsylvania.
and in Pennsylvania. So you look at 300 million Americans, and there's a collective eye roll.
Right.
Okay. Oh, come on. Here we go again.
Right.
So what's happened, and this is the great contribution that Trump made just by being catnip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do anything. He was just catnip.
Right.
Everybody went nuts.
Right.
The FBI went nuts. The Department of Justice went nuts. Everybody goes crazy, and they have discredited themselves in front of the world, in front of everybody.
That's
And
interesting.
A moderate and reasonable Republican president, let's say a DeSantis or someone like that, is not going to make them go nuts that way.
That's
All
right.
Trump made them go nuts.
So it is. So it's not Ron DeSantis for you. It's Trump over Ron DeSantis. Basically,
Well,
you have the options.
I would probably not wince nearly as much with DeSantis at the things he says and does, but I don't think DeSantis would make them go nuts the way Trump has. And I'm not saying that that's a personal virtue of Trump's. I don't know what it is. It's just simply God is using him to make to give us the big reveal. So it was over the last 2 years that we saw the public health establishment, we saw hospitals, we saw the military, we saw everybody just take the mask off,
Yeah.
and say,
Or keep it on.
Take it off by keeping it on.
No,
Right.
So part of what's going on in all of this, they've done their craziness, and they have attempted to tag us and target anybody, to the right of I don't know,
Elon Musk,
which
is a very wide window there.
as a crazy Christian nationalist,
right?
And so we were kicking this around earlier, and the question we want to ask is: do you think the Christian nationalism is hipster theonomy?
Yeah, maybe it's tricksy theonomy.
Yeah,
Trixie, what do you mean by that?
Tricksy, basically, Christian. Well, there's an important theological distinction.
Yeah.
The theonomists simply wanted to go back to the Mosaic Law and all of the Scripture and sort of impose or establish reconstruct America on biblical foundations,
right?
Sort of in an ideological way. Here's our program. It's the Bible. We're going to ask and answer the hard questions. Christian nationalism is cool with using the Bible and avowing Jesus Christ and so forth, but it's also wanting to appeal to natural law and common law. The history of Christian jurisprudence.
Right.
So it's not pure theonomy from the sky.
Right.
It's the theocratic element. We acknowledge Jesus Christ, but there's also a strong historical natural law element. Mm-hmm. So we recently had a speaker here in Moscow, Glenn Moots, who gave a very fine talk. And in the Q&A session, he was talking about this opposed to the Reconstructionists. And I said, if your program were established, would it make Reconstructionists happy or sad?
Okay.
Right.
Good
question.
And I think the Reconstructionists would say, this is a good start.
Yeah.
I think
way.
That's how I'd say it with Wolf too. I was like, this is kind of like theonomy light. Mm-hmm. It's like a way to get into it. I just feel, okay, Pastor, I'm gonna try this. I'm just gonna let my heart just lay on the table. Okay.
Because that's what us Reform folks do.
There's a charismatic in here that's being strangled by a Reform guy inside of me.
Let me out!
But, 15, 17 years ago, I fell into theonomy, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this answers so many questions of how we deal with civil law, how we deal with some of the problems that I saw, even in the Black community. I saw so many things that biblical theonomy answered. Sorry to be redundant in that. And I was like, oh, this is it. And I started preaching this into the circle I was in, Reform Baptist circles, some of the, it was Todd Friel, it was Phil Johnson, it was all these guys, it was that whole circle. And everybody rejected it because they were rejecting the idea of influencing the government with biblical laws and standard inside the civil magistrate, right? You just want a peaceful environment where you can preach the gospel from and let the civil magistrate do its thing.
Right.
I felt like I felt like it was Captain America. I went inside of a coma. I came out, and all of a sudden, all these people who rejected theonomy are out here now, kind of having their form of theonomy. Like, we need to be involved in the civil realm and influence the culture with biblical law. And I'm like, whoa, what just happened here? Except they're not calling it theonomy; they're calling it Christian nationalism.
Right.
I'm like, wait, hold on now. Hey. I'm with understanding if we're talking about natural law as it relates to natural law, and then we have a special or a natural revelation versus a specific revelation, we can bring those two together. Yeah. An old version of natural, I'm with that. But this new natural law stuff where we kind of like make it up as we see from nature.
Well, so it depends on whether you're talking about natural law or natural revelation. Right.
Okay, natural law, I think, is what I'm speaking to.
Not all, but some natural law theorists want to say that natural law is morally obligatory whether or not there's a God, as though the existence of God is irrelevant to the authority of natural law. Mm-hmm. And I just regard that as incoherent.
Yeah.
Okay. But the Bible, special revelation, tells us that there are certain things that we can identify about God and about man and about sin
that are embedded in the created order.
Embedded in the created order.
Yeah.
And so I think a natural law theorist and a Van Tillian natural revelation guy
can get along.
Can work it out.
Yeah,
I think
I'm with that.
We might disagree about some things at the end of the day.
Sure.
But I think we would all agree you can't chop the babies up anymore. We would all agree that you can't have sodomite marriage anymore.
Right.
Everybody agrees with that.
We're getting into Sabbath laws and first table laws. I'm fine with that.
I'm seeing some of the current Christian nationalists who, in a debate back in the 80s, would have been the liberals in a Greg Bonson debate with some of them. They would have been the liberals, right, wanting to soft pedal. Let's not go so hard. Some of those guys are talking pretty hardcore now.
I know they're getting first table guys. They're first table enforcers now. And but Pastor, the thing that's scaring me is like I will see the non-post-mill, non-theonomic Baptists who will reject theonomy all the way out. All of a sudden, rush to Christian nationalism like it's the new answer to solving all of our problems. I'm like,
the new hotness.
Yes, the new hotness.
Hipster.
Why are they taking, and then they want to still have, like, how do you do civil law now? You still have to work out laws. How are you going to do that?
A lot of Christians are much better Christians than they are logicians.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Aren't they the same? Should be the same thing.
No, actually, because
orthodoxy, orthopraxy kind of thing.
Well, no, because oftentimes strict ideologues are very precise logicians, and that's what's wrong with them. Right.
Okay.
They don't know how to play cards with the hand that they're dealt.
Right. That's not what but I think most theonomists kind of fit inside of that category.
There were ideological theonomists.
Yes. Yes.
And an ideological theonomist, it can be just as much of a hazard as an ideological Marxist.
And they're wound tight and everything.
Because what matters is the system and not people.
Right.
Right. Now, with Christian nationalism, the people who are saying what they have the advantage of is seeing what has been done to our civilization over the last 2 years.
Right.
Back when
just 2?
especially the last 2. So when, let's say, Greg Bonson was debating with people over theonomy back in the 80s, okay, you could not have gotten anybody in the auditorium listening to that debate to think that we would be tussling over drag queens reading to kids in the library.
They couldn't imagine their wildest dreams.
But what did they think?
Well, they thought that neutrality was possible. They thought that if we just leave the non-Christians alone, they would agree to be kind of decent. They don't believe in Jesus.
Have they read their Bible? I'm serious. You know what I mean? I'm being funny, but I'm serious, though. We know that sin doesn't stay put.
Right. No, well, it's like being a little bit pregnant. You can't.
Right.
You can't be just a little bit pregnant. You can't just reject God and then say, and we're going to have a fine civilization for the next 500 years. We are now seeing what godlessness looks like. This godlessness looks like clown world. That's what it looks like. That's right. And a lot of Christians who didn't follow the argument on paper back in the 80s have followed the argument in their newsfeed.
Right.
Yeah. They say, oh.
And this is what you mean by they're better Christians because they see it now and they're saying, this has got to stop. This has got to be addressed. But they're better Christians than they are logicians.
Yeah, if they were logicians, they would have anticipated this.
Right.
But they didn't anticipate it. But they see it now.
And here we are.
And here we are.
Right.
So can they see then what's coming? Because I'll leave that. That's one. If they couldn't see it coming, then I don't know how they're going to deal with the problem that is coming even after this. They can only see there. Because, Pastor, I've been going back, listening to your libraries now that you've had for 30 years. It's almost like there was a marker set. If I had to mark it when they told you, I can't think it was at a debate, would say, we'll have your kids. And you said, not mine.
Right.
You saw it.
Right.
And you said, well, I'm starting schools, right? You started 2 schools and had an impact on culture and society here in America. So if you couldn't see it then, I have hard hope that you can see it in the future, what's coming.
Yeah,
so
but see, there's a difference between someone sitting in their seat, watching the debate, not getting the point, and someone who's already picked up their gun and is in the ranks with you fighting, not seeing the next battle. But what matters are they in the battle with you now?
I hate when you do stuff like that.
Now,
that's so good. That's true. I think that's true. But wait. I'm hogging Doug. Sorry, I got to say
that's why I was going to ask a question.
Well, I have to. We don't have. He's got to go. But so, Pastor, here's my thing with Christian nationalism. I feel like I'm forced to defend it because of the attack on the Christian in Christian nationalism.
Right.
So when I see the left come after, I'm slowly watching what Christian nationalism is becoming, whatever this is, because you got different branches out there that I'm not jumping on board at all with. Right.
Sure.
But when I see the left attack Christian nationalism, they're not attacking the nationalism part. They're attacking the Christian part. And so I feel like I have to come to defend that, which puts me right in line with the Christian nationalists, which I'm like,
But see, this is the other thing. Look at the New Testament. All right. Look at the New Testament and look at the different groups that you see in the New Testament. I've got an article I did called the Jesus Mobs. You have all the people who were baptized by John the Baptist, and you have the Pharisees who weren't. And you had the followers of Jesus, the people who heard the Sermon on the Mount. You had followers of Christ who were tracking. And then you had likers of Christ who weren't tracking. Because when why didn't they arrest Jesus publicly? Because they were afraid for their lives.
Because of the people.
Because of the people.
Yeah.
So there were a bunch of people in Jesus' corner who would behave a whole lot more surly than the J6 mob. Right. So when in Acts, when they go to arrest the apostles, it says they handled them very gingerly because they were afraid for their lives. They were afraid the people might stone them. Yeah. Now, the people who might stone people because you just arrested an apostle might not have gotten the Sermon on the Mount memo.
right.
And Jesus is not embarrassed by them at all.
But can I point out to a very important distinction here? Who's leading the party?
Yeah, who's setting the setting the tone?
Who's on the center?
So on Christian nationalism right now, the definitive work defining it was published by Canon Press in Moscow, Idaho.
Yeah.
So right now you've got different congressmen and wild races and people wearing elephant hats and all kinds
Marjorie
of
Taylor Greene.
You've got that kind of what people would call fringe element on Christian nationalism. But the definitive theoretical case for it has been the benchmark. If you want to attack Christian nationalism from now on, and do so seriously, you're going to have to contend with Wolf's book.
Yeah.
All right. And we're in a position when Meet the Press did their article on us.
Fabulous job, by the way, Pastor. Thank you.
That was awesome. Well, but when I saw the segment air, the whole thing was framed in terms of Christian nationalism.
Yeah.
And I thought, what?
Yeah.
They hadn't talked to you about that.
No, that wasn't in the interview at all. We didn't talk about Christian nationalism, but they framed it as Christian nationalism. And I'll take it.
Right.
Because what I'll do is say, okay, that's better than what they usually call us, which is white supremacist or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
But I think that's inherent in Christian nationalism, though.
Well, they think it's inherent in Christian.
Right.
They think showing up on time for work is white supremacy.
Dang it.
Being disciplined.
Y'all wonder why I'm late all the time.
It's because he's black.
The thing that I would want to say is, okay, they gave us the microphone.
Yeah.
Let's say, okay, the first thing about Christian nationalism you have to understand is that Christ is Lord of all the nations.
Right.
We're not a special nation. We get to define it. We get to define it and set the parameters for it. And we can exclude those elements that want to call themselves Christian nationalists that really are white supremacists. Right. I'm sure in a country as big as this, there are people out there that,
or it's starting to expose the kinism or something like that.
I think it's kicked up that dust a little bit too. I think that the idea
White Boy Summer
of Christian nationalism has kicked up the dust of some of that where. And I think it's two things. I think it's the left has alienated white men so much that they're trying to figure out where they fit at in America still. Right. Especially younger white men. They are horrible.
Right. And so when you look at the White Boy Summer and a lot of the disenfranchised, angry young white men, I feel bad. I don't feel bad about them. I feel bad for them.
Yeah.
And I feel that they are the creation of the progressives who've done nothing but demonize those people for the last 20 years. And so what they're thinking is, if they're going to hang me for a thief, I might as well steal something. Right. And so,
but if we can define the center, then we can, for at least some of them, call them to something better.
Yeah, and Pastor, you wrote an article about this, I think right afterwards, and one of the things I picked up on was watching Black culture has been a story for us, a warning for us. They baited them, they took the bait, and all their virtue went to blackness. Right? And we've watched that. Now, if you're watching this and you're white, don't take the bait. The virtue isn't in your whiteness. You will end up in the exact same place, and you'll be seeing, white essence all of a sudden, and it's like, whoa, what is this? And so we have to be careful of that. And I love what you said. We're talking about wokeness too. When who was it that wrote the book on woke Christianity? Eric Mason. You said, I want to know what you gutted from the wokeness. And that's kind of how I feel about the nationalism. I want to know what you've gutted from it if you're going to put Christianity inside of it.
So what I drop from it is if there's any element of anti-Semitism, out it goes. If there's any element of kinism, that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about the purity of the race. What we're talking about is, okay, if someone says, I don't want to be a Christian nationalist, I'd say, all right, what kind of nationalist are you?
Well, I'm not. I'm a covenantalist.
Well, no, what's on your driver's license?
Made in America.
Idaho. Well,
but that's man.
We're talking in a particular language. We're talking in English. That's a national trait. Okay. We have certain cultural things in common. We eat at common restaurants. That's a national. That's a.
We
local,
like barbecue.
Especially pork.
But that's nation stuff. The nationalism is something else.
Well, the fellow said, beware of all isms except for prisms. There is danger in the ism. Like there's a danger in patriotism. There's a danger in nationalism. That's true. And so we want to guard against that. And we want to say, we are simply saying that we're a nation and we have an obligation to love Jesus.
Amen. I'm with
that. And other nations, and it's not, we're not saying that we're a special nation like Israel in the Old Testament, because all nations have the same obligation to love Jesus. And when they love Jesus and we love Jesus, it's going to look and taste and smell very different, because there's a glorious mixture that's going to come when the Chinese are Christian, and when India is Christian, and when Japan is Christian, and when France and Germany are Christian again, there's going to be a very different texture and flavor in all of it. But that's what the Great Commission is all about. Disciple the nations.
Smart Pricing Table allows you to create quick and accurate proposals like, I don't know, how to take over your nation for Jesus. And it's loaded with features like recurring fees, quantities, and line item upsells. When your prospect is ready, they can e-sign and you're off to the races. Visit smartpricingtable.com and mention CrossPolitic to get 25% off.
How about that?
Your first 2 months.
Don't miss a No Quarter November post.
Right.
DougWillis.com.
Every Tuesday and Thursday? Is that what?
It's Monday, Wednesday.
Every Monday, Wednesday.
Okay. Pastor, thank you for being here.
And we're going to be on later tonight
for the election.
Starting at 7 p.m. Pacific time. AD Robles, Matt Williams, and we're going to be coming on at 9.
Okay.
If you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. If you have kids, go baptize them. Until later tonight, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic. I got it. It's like I'm a rapper.
Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations, the world's largest classical Christian homeschooling community. I'm launching a new podcast, Refining Rhetoric. If you like cross politics or just listen to hear what crazy stuff they're saying today, you will enjoy Refining Rhetoric. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform. I practice the 15 tools of learning by interviewing great guests, looking at current events, and talking about cryptocurrency.
Struggling to catechize your kids? Is just reading a question and waiting for an answer not engaging enough? Wish there was a better way to train up your children? Now there is.
Question 1. What is the chief end of man? Answer. Man's chief end is to glorify God and to enjoy Him forever.